minus 20 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
It's your Manchester. Please welcome tonight's host, Belinda Scandal.
Hello, my lovelies, how are you? Welcome to this week's episode of Your Manchester with me, Ms. Belinda Scandal. How are we all doing? Yes, I'm doing my best with my lovely little hand cleansing, everybody, because it's got to be done, hasn't it? It's got to be done. But I bet you're all talking about June the 21st, eh? I bet you're all excited about it, aren't you? Ready for it? I tell you, it's going to be a party. I think it's going to be a party like no other party we have seen in a very long time. Personally, I think it should be a bank holiday. I think we should all celebrate. I think we should all get slightly intoxicated. Not like we won't be already, because obviously we'll all be very, very, very drunk. Not that's a good thing, because I don't endorse drinking at all. Anyway, I love the show lined up for you tonight, everybody. We have got some wonderful artists from the RuPaul programme. That's right, RuPaul's Drag Race. Season 1 and Season 2 are joining us today. We are also joined by two of the singers from the programme The Voice. And of course, we couldn't let tonight pass without talking to our Carl Austin Behan as he gets his medals back, everybody. Because it's a day of resolution, reckoning and wonderfulness. So sit back, relax and welcome each and every one of you to this week's episode of Your Manchester! So our first guest does join us. That was a quick walk, wasn't it? I'm exhausted. I'll have to have a Vimto. So I've ran. I think that's a calorie. In that calorie. I must just tell you before we bring our first guest on, I have been challenged to do these 11,000 steps in March every day, not throughout all of March. I think I've just done them there, but I think we'll look into that. Now, my first guest joins me today, everybody, from Season 1 of RuPaul's Drag Race UK, everybody. And what an absolute hit she was. Her name is Crystal, originally Crystal there, but then became... Anyway, there's a lot behind it. She's one of them rare queens that really goes for exactly what she believes in. Check out this VT.
I'm called Crystal because we're both glamorous and sparkly, but ultimately worthless. I'm not afraid to look a bit messy or ugly or scary. You know, it's not all about being pretty all the time. I do aerial circus, I do angle grinding, I can crack a whip. It's a freak show, it's unexpected, it's nothing you've ever seen before. I'm not a cookie cutter drag queen. I'm bringing much more of an East London fashion creative element to it. Some might call it pretentious. I call it interesting. The very first time I did drag was with my sister, and we dressed up as twins to do Two Ladies from Cabaret with my boyfriend at the time, which is actually a bit twisted when you think about it. I'm not competitive with other people, but I'm very competitive with myself. I can be very hard on myself when I don't do well. RuPaul was the first drag queen I ever saw, probably. This is all because of RuPaul.
Ah, there we are, and Crystal joins us right now. Do you know, how are you, my love? Are you okay?
Hi, baby. I'm blushing after watching that video. I haven't watched that since a year and a half ago. Gosh, well, look at that makeup.
Well, you've stuck to it, though. You've always stuck to your guns, and this is what I like about you. You've stuck to your guns, and you've been the character that you wanted to be. And how's that worked out for you?
Yeah, it's worked out all right, I guess. I don't know if that is what... I just try and be myself, and sometimes that means sticking to my guns, but usually it means being a pretty laid-back person, actually. I don't see myself as someone who's like, must be my way.
Now, you say laid back, but, well, we'll find out. Now, you say laid back, but what you've actually done is you've hung from the ceiling, you've had your angle grinder. Now, What type of a queen does it take to want to do something like that, as opposed to just putting on a sequin gown and a red wig?
It takes someone who is desperate for attention, and I think it just shows how hungry I am for a bit of attention. And I know that I can't necessarily command a stage with my dance skills or my comedy skills. So I've had to find other ways of keeping the show interesting. And before you knew it, I was hanging upside down from my stilettos and grinding sparks out of my crotch.
I mean, because we all know that drag's not the most comfortable thing. I'm ignoring that. And we know that drag is not the most comfortable thing in the world to do, but you've took it to a fair level, haven't you?
Yeah, I like to think so. I'm still not bored of it, which is what's great. I would think I was worried that I would get burnout after being on the show and it would start to feel like work. And sometimes it does, but for the most part, I just still really love doing it. And I love coming up with new concepts and new looks and new characters. And it's great that I get paid to do that.
Now, you went out of RuPaul's Drag Race season 1 after lip syncing with Liverpool's finest, the Vivian. How was that experience?
Allegedly the finest.
Yes, allegedly. Don't you get me in trouble. How was that for you? What was the experience like?
Well, that was my second time lip syncing, so I think I kind of knew. I didn't feel like I was going to barf and crap my pants at the same time like I did the first time. But the writing was on the wall at that point. I knew I was going home. Because, and I don't know if you remember that episode, but I got emotional and Untucked, and
it was because I knew. Real?
Oh God, yeah. But because you're so tired and you're so isolated and you've got no support system, and you have to find all of the confidence and all of the strength to do that show from within yourself. And that's why Vivian was such an amazing competitor, because she just came in knowing that she was the absolute shit. And I came in knowing that I was medium.
So what's the best way to tackle it then? For instance, if season 3 came to somewhere, I don't know, maybe started filming in Manchester or something like that, what would be
imagine if it was filming there. Yeah, what would I say to any queens? I would say no. Believe your own hype. You've got to know you're the shit to do that show. Sorry, it's probably not.
No, you can swear. It's fine. It's not a problem.
Okay, fine. You've got to know that you are the shit, and you've got to believe it. And that needs to be something that you can hold on to. Whatever other competitors throw at you, whatever the judges say to you, whatever the producers say to you, you have to still believe that you are the best damn thing in the entire world.
What's happened since you've left Drag Race then? What have you been up to?
Oh gosh, just like inbox flooded with nudes, global domination.
Really?
It's been great. I mean, obviously it's hard to keep perspective because the last year has been a bit shit, but I'm so fortunate that actually the platform that Drag Race gave me has allowed me to keep working over the last year, and I've managed to keep doing my drag and still make a bit of money. It wasn't exactly the year I'd had in mind. I was supposed to be doing a show at Edinburgh Fringe, and I had all kinds of global tour dates, which was going to be amazing. But everyone's in the exact same position, and I've come out of it really pleased with what the kind of year I've had, really. And I've produced a podcast, which has just finished season 1 with World of Wonder. It's called The Things That Made Me Queer. And we've just had that greenlit for season 2. So there's been lots of stuff bubbling away. Yeah.
So for all these drag queens that maybe don't think that RuPaul's Drag Race is a good idea for them, would you say it is?
I think it's never going to hurt. It's always going to take your career to another level, even if you go out first or even if everyone hates you. But, it's also incredibly hard, and it puts you under a lot of emotional stress. So from a career point of view, I'd say it's always a good idea. But if you aren't feeling like your brain can handle it, then that's probably a really good sign not to go for it, because it's a fucking endurance test.
Yeah, because it's not just what we see on the program, is it? I've heard stories that you put in these hotel rooms, you left there for basically the entire season, wheeled out just for a bit of filming, wheeled back in, no contact with anybody. Is that about right?
That's about right. And beyond that, you're worried the whole time about how the audience at home is going to see you, and if they don't like you, they're going to turn on you. And the bullying online, like that's a real thing. So there's lots of ways it can go wrong as well. But Belinda, I'm sure they'd love you.
I can't lip sync. That's the thing. Honestly, I've tried lip syncing many, many times, and I always end up looking like a Gareth Gates tribute act. Do you know what I mean? My lips are all
Belinda,
over the place.
Just stand on that stage and just make the noise of that alcohol gel just rubbing into your hands. I could listen to you do that for 3.5 minutes, no problem.
Well, the offer's there whenever you want that, Flower. I need to get back to Canada anyway. Do you still go back to Canada?
Yeah, I haven't been since January last year, and I'm desperate because I've got a new baby niece who I haven't met yet. So, but yes, as soon as the flights are open, I'm there.
I'll come with you, Flower. Thank you so much for your time today, Crystal. Honestly,
lovely to meet you.
Lovely to meet you too. It was watching you on the program. You were so you, and not these carbon copy things that you tend to see on that program. You were you, and it was lovely and refreshing to see. So
it's the only person I know, so.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Crystal. Take care of yourself. What an absolute gem, everybody. Absolute gem. Now, just before we move on to our next drag queen appearing on the show today, just to let you know, we've got Vinegar Strokes and we've got Tia Kofi coming up a little bit later on as well. And as if that's not enough, we've got our Hayley telling us exactly what's going on the box.
Hi, I'm Hayley and welcome to this week's On The Box. How's everyone doing? I'll tell you what I've been watching recently, Blithe Spirit. I've been meaning to watch that for weeks. Noel Coward's play, Blithe Spirit, is one of my favourite plays, and I actually played Elvira as well a few years back. I'd love to replay her again, actually, if anyone's casting out there, just saying. Now, do remember that Blithe Spirit, the film, which is available on Now TV, is based on the play by Noel Coward. So it's not exact, it's based on it. I watched everything with Judi Dench in it, so do give it a watch. It's a really easy watch and dead relaxing too, especially at the moment when you want to escape from everything that's going on in the world. The other thing I wanted to talk to you about is there's a new way of watching films. There is an app called What-I-Fi. You can watch it alone or you can watch it with friends, as in you can connect on there with friends. So that's going to be particularly brilliant for gamers, and you can decide which way you want the films to go. There's lots of alternative middles and endings and beginnings, etc. You watch the film, and as you're watching it, every now and then you'll get a choice of going this way or this way, and you just choose which way you want it to go. So yeah, that is going to be a very, very popular app. The other thing is I am watching Schitt's Creek, of course. I think everybody's watching Schitt's Creek, which is on Netflix.
Who put a picture of a ghost on my desk?
I can't believe you opened that!
It was on my desk.
That's the sonogram of our baby.
I don't know what I'm going to do when it ends, because it is my cozy go-to on a night time at the moment. It's absolutely freezing, isn't it? And it's just a lovely, cozy, warm comedy. And it just is perfect before I go to sleep at night. The next thing I'm going to watch on Netflix is Firefly Lane, and that is a pair of best friends, and you watch their bond from their teens right into their 40s, and it looks absolutely outstanding from the trailer. So that's what I'm going to be watching next once I finish Schitt's Creek. Now, that's it from me. I will catch you next time. Have a really good week. Remember, stronger together, we'll get through this. Bye.
Oh, there we are. So there's loads to watch on the box, everybody. Not that we're kind of going to be winding down with Netflix and all sort of channels like that for a little while, aren't we? Probably this one as well, everybody. Oh, it's sad, isn't it? But yay, June 21st, I tell you. If you do see me on June 21st, I want you to promise me one thing, everybody. Don't remind me of it the next day, because I won't remember what has gone on, nor will I actually care, everybody, because I intend to be what they can only refer to as rat-arsed. Now, speaking of which, everybody, I shall be having some chips, and on my chips I'll be having some salt and some vinegar, but not Vinegar Strokes, because I've just been told by my production manager before it came on that has got different connotations to it altogether. Our next guest joins us now for season 1 of RuPaul's Drag Race UK. I've got to keep that in, apparently, according to the BBC. This is our Vinegar Strokes. Hello, Vinegar!
Hello, how's it going?
How are you? Whereabouts are you?
Thank you. How are you, my love?
I'm all right. Where are you calling from today?
I am calling from North London.
Oh, it's posh there, isn't it?
Smoke, but north of it.
All right, lovely, lovely, lovely. Now, before we go any further, my production manager dared me to ask you the name Vinegar Strokes. Explain.
Well, do you want the clean version or the family friendly version?
Well, we've had Crystal on and she's already let everything go. So now you explain to us, Flo.
Oh, she voided her bowels again. Oh God, not again. So basically, Vinegar Strokes is basically, in the most kind of basic way, it's the face a gentleman will pull just before he, releases the beast of love over his partner's body or tissues.
Nice. And you decided to change it to Strokes for what particular reason?
Well, that's always been part of the name. So I suppose if we're having a stroke, we're all good. So yeah.
Yes. Now, you're not just a queen that's appeared on the television. You have appeared in the theatre, the sensational theatre, in Everybody's Talking About Jamie.
Yes. That was what, 2 years ago now. If it feels like a lifetime ago, but yeah, I've done my fair bit of West End and tours and lots of theatre stuff. So yeah, it's a really kind of nice, varied thing to do. I've really enjoyed it. It's really good. So
that makes you a bit of a showbiz queen, then, doesn't it?
A little bit, just a little bit, a tad.
Yeah. How would you sum up the character of Vinegar then? How close is it to you as a person?
You know what? I always describe Vinegar as like Daniel just turned up to like level 10. Do you know what I mean? So I feel like with drag, it allows you to be, a little bit more risque, a bit more naughty, a bit cheeky, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, definitely, it's everything that I want to be doing just in real life, but just turned up by 10 essentially.
Lovely. Now explain to us the definition of hodgepodge, please.
Well, I mean, hodgepodge has been a thing. Obviously, I was christened that by RuPaul. Before that, I thought I was full glamour and for everything, but evidently hodgepodge. To me, hodgepodge is now kind of taken on a life of being, again, just that version of me turned up to 10, colourful, loud, and just kind of very, very expressive in that kind of way, and no fear. That's definitely what I put right. It's no fear.
Now, we were talking to Crystal before about the lip-syncing battles, or as we used to call it back in the day, miming. How was that for you? I want to really try and get people to understand how that feels when you're put into that position in front of the judges.
Well, it's absolutely mental because I mean, I don't lip sync. I'm live through and through. I sing live, speak live, all that kind of stuff. So when it comes to lip syncing, it is something like is actually quite new to me in my act, which is not really in there. So it's very strange when you're kind of on the drag race stage. You're already ashamed of yourself for being in the bottom anyway. And then when the lights go down and stuff, your heart is literally racing and you're literally performing a song you've learnt maybe the morning of the day before in front of, RuPaul and Graham Norton and Anna and Michelle and whoever else is there. So it's quite a crazy experience. But like, I feel like the first time I did it, I was like literally like bricking myself and like, no, I don't want to do this. But the second time round, I was like, I'm gonna have the best time of my life. So it depends how you come at it, but it's a very different kind of experience than just kind of actually being able to like speak and sing and kind of like, connect with the audience on that level. But it's a lot of fun, And of course, you're getting judged by Michelle. She was one of your cast members. She was my colleague. Michelle was my colleague. Go on, sorry. It must take a lot of patience to be judged by somebody that was basically on the same stage as you in the first place. Well, I took everything you said on the chin, and to be honest, it actually made it a lot easier to be criticised by, because obviously I knew Michelle as Michelle Visage, the kind of the judge of Drag Race and whatnot, scary and all that kind of stuff. And I was like, oh, now that I kind of have met you and worked with you and know you, and we've actually danced together and that kind of stuff, it kind of made it a lot easier when she was critiquing me, because a lot of stuff she said I actually agreed with, and I think because we did know each other, I think she was a little bit softer on me. There was a bit of a cushion there as well, which wasn't her boobs. Well, no, because she took them out. Anyway, she took them out. They've gone. Mine are doing the same thing in about half an hour. They really are. Now you went back to the theatre almost straight away after finishing, didn't you? You went into Death Drop. Yeah. Did that get stopped because of the COVID?
Or it finished already?
Yes. So basically, we were lucky enough to get a 2-week run. There was a lot of shows in the West End that opened for one day, then closed. So we were lucky to get 2 weeks in, and yeah, it was amazing. It starred myself and Courtney Act, Money Exchange, as well as a whole bunch of other amazing queer drag artists as well. And we just kind of went in there and rehearsed, and we had 2 weeks rehearsal. We didn't really know what was going to happen, but we just kind of did it as if it was all normal in the world. And yeah, it was just amazing. But unfortunately, because of that random lockdown that happened, we had to stop. But fingers crossed it will come back once we kind of, eased out of lockdown.
And finishing 8th in RuPaul's Drag Race Season 1. I mean, finishing 8th in any race probably wouldn't feel great, but I mean, finishing 8th in the first ever season of RuPaul's Drag Race UK must be a massive pat on the back for you.
Oh yeah, thank you. Yeah, it really is. I mean, I'm so proud of what it. Obviously, I would love to have gone a bit further and done the challenges that I really wanted, like Snatch Game and like the girl band challenge, that kind of stuff. But I'm a big believer that any kind of platform like this, it really isn't what you do on the show; it's what you're doing afterwards. And I think I've kind of, really killed it with what I'm been doing afterwards. I've been able to, as I said, go back to the West End and do some tours and do shows and keep working and that kind of stuff. And I think actually, as long as you're keeping that ball rolling and keeping things fresh and keeping things out there and still learning and still growing as an artist, I think that's the most important thing. Drag Race as a platform is incredible, but I think it's what you do afterwards which is the most incredible thing. So the fact that I'm still working and still asked to do stuff is amazing. So.
And has it changed your life being on that program?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I don't see how it couldn't have. I mean, it's just not just in terms of work and finance and that kind of stuff, but also just kind of the people I'm able to work with now and people who are wanting to work with me and the things I've been learning. Like, there's a lot of things that it kind of changes in your life, not just the work aspect, but it's also a really nice personal journey to go on, which is great.
Excellent. Vinegar Strokes, absolute pleasure to speak to you this evening.
Well, my love.
And we will catch up soon, and we'll have a good showbiz chat.
And a good old drink as well.
I'm on Vimto today. It's terrible, isn't it?
Spike it.
I mean, it's got vodka in it as well, but I mean, it's still classed as Vimto, isn't it? Yeah, exactly. Thank you very much, Vinegar Strokes. Thank you. You see, so these reality programmes can change your life, everybody. Now, 2 people all the way from Oldham took part in another... Which camera am I on? That one. Took part in another... Stop it. It's the vodka. Took part in another fantastic reality programme known as The Voice. And they are called Jazz and Darius. Let's take a look at their journey on The Voice.
Will you recognize me in the flashing light? I try to keep my heart beat, but I can't get it right. Oh, never, I wait with good intention, but the day always lasts too long. So we were drawn together through destiny. No, this love we share was meant to be. I knew you were waiting. You were waiting for me.
Whatever you. There we go. I'm just talking there. Oh, let's bring them in. This is Touche, everybody. Touche. Hello, gentlemen. All the way from Oldham. How the heck are you?
Not bad. How are you?
Not bad. Taking it in turns to speak, because you're twins, aren't you?
Exactly. We need to not step on each other because we always talk at the same time. So
You talk at the same time. 2 is always better than 1, especially when you look like you do. Now, listen, boys, how was... You don't know what to say to that, do you? How was the competition for you? We spoke to 2 drag queens today, and they, of course, had to appear with judges, RuPaul and, chat show hosts. But, I mean, you're there in front of Sir Tom Jones. I mean, it doesn't get much bigger. Tell me about the experience when you first see him turn around.
it's so surreal. We didn't even notice that we had a turn. So, like, I think it was 3 seconds after we stopped singing, I just saw like a white light. They don't have that noise, the
Oh, they
doesn't
don't?
happen. No, it doesn't happen. There's just a white light, and then, as you can see, we kind of fell into each other's arms. It was a weird experience.
It's got to be scary as anything, I would imagine. And then, of course, you get taken... Go on, sorry.
No, it's okay. I was just going to say, we weren't expecting to get so nervous. We knew that we'd get nervous, but bloody hell, we was backstage and our hearts were beating out of our chest. It was crazy. But yeah, amazing though.
It must be really, really freaky. But then, of course, you get through and you are picked by Sir Tom to be part of his clique, like that. And then you're put up against somebody who I can only describe, and I hope I'm not being libelous here, as a person that makes me look butch. And I mean, you must have been thinking any minute now you should start body popping or something. Because, I mean, let's face it, most of his actual performance wasn't voice-based. It was more attitude and character and sass-based, wasn't it?
Well, to be honest, when we first got put against him, because everyone sees each other's performances before, our only worry was, I just think he's going to outperform us. But he actually has got a really, really good voice as well, hasn't he? Yeah, he's definitely a double threat. Like, his performance is amazing. He's got the sass, but he's also a really good singer as well. So we was like, bloody hell, how do we match that? But then we just thought we just have to do what we do, basically. You can only do what you can do, can't you?
And I suppose it must be difficult when you're actually in the situation. You know, you've got a battle going on to communicate to each other. I mean, it might be easy for you being twins, telepathic and all that. But I mean, how do you communicate to the other person? Right, let's step this up. We're going to try doing this now. We're going to do this. We're going to try and do that. How do you communicate that to each other when you're in the middle of a performance?
Well, it's even more difficult this year just because it's COVID. So normally you would meet up all the time and rehearse and all that sort of stuff and get an idea of what you was going to do anyway. But in this situation, we had two rehearsals, and that's including band and choreo and vocal coaching. So you don't have much time with him to actually kind of arrange what you're going to do. So it's definitely been hard this year. Mm-hmm.
How would you describe the type of music that you two put out?
What would you say? I'd say modern soul, R&B, but we love pop as well. That's a mix of those three things, I think. Yeah, it's definitely varied.
I mean, you've got amazing voices, really amazing voices. So what will be next for the two of you then? I mean, you've been eliminated from that competition. Does it stop there, or do you carry on? What do you do?
Probably the next season of UK Drag Race, I think. Twinkies.
I could see. I could see you doing that, the pair of you. You could be a boob each, couldn't you? You could be a boob each. Hey.
To be honest, I think we're focusing on our songwriting. We want to get a good mix of songs, and then I don't know. We want to do live stuff, but how do you do live stuff when it's COVID?
I know.
Obviously, you can appreciate as well, because I'm sure you can't do much work at the moment as well. But...
No, I'm unemployed. This is why I'm just sat in my back bedroom just doing this. You know what I mean? It's a hard graft, but you've got a friend in vodka, and that's what I'm telling everybody at the moment. And
I wish I would have got a cheeky Vimto already. I know.
Cheeky Vimto, Manchester. Whereabouts in Oldham are you coming from, boys?
We're in Chadderton. We're actually from Newton Heath. What is that? Is that us? Is that us? Sorry, I just got crackling. Can you hear the crackling?
We can hear you. Can you hear us? Are you still receiving us over in Oldham?
Still there. Yeah.
It's like the Eurovision, isn't it? It really is.
Because we're in the hills. But we're in Chadderton. We're from Newton Heath.
Yeah.
So we're from Manchester.
And is the singing a full-time job for you?
Not at all. It's been completely on the back burner. We did a little show called The X Factor when we were a bit younger. And that was, we got to the actual stage where you sing in front of the judges in the massive arena. And that kind of shook us, didn't it? We'd never really performed on stage, and that we completely just blacked out. Didn't remember it, but no, we didn't sing very well, and it kind of put us off for a little bit. We kind of thought singing's not for us. Went to the kind of 9 to 5s and stuff. But then it's always been there, hasn't it? We've always sung wrote and arranged and stuff. So, yeah.
So you're going to keep going with it then, I do hope.
100%. Yeah, definitely. It's kind of reignited our passion for it, for sure. Definitely. Yeah. And I think we're just going to, as soon as we can, just do as much as we can. We just want to be out there, getting people to hear our songs and, performing as much as possible.
Well, what we'll do when we get back to our proper studio shows, boys, they've got an open invitation to come and perform in our lovely little studio here. We'd be more than happy to have you here.
Oh, we'll definitely take that. Yeah, that'd be sick. We'll hold you to that. Yeah, we will.
You can hold me to that, because then I get to see you in 3D. And then you've got no excuse for me not to cuddle you either, because by the time it's then, you'll get cuddled, won't you? And that's just the way it's going to be.
That's the way it's going to be.
Touche, Jazz, Darius, thank you so much for your time this evening, and absolute best of luck. Keep staying strong and keep doing exactly what you're doing because it's fantastic.
Thank you for having us on. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. No problem at all. Now, we couldn't let this week go without talking to our patron, everybody. Now, this gentleman has gone through the wars, quite literally, everybody, and up until recently, he had no medals to show it off. He's with us now very, very quickly before we bring in our final guest, that is our Tia Kofi, coming away in just a couple of minutes' time. However, we wanted to speak to Carl Austin Behan very, very quickly. Carl, hello, how are you?
I'm very good, thank you, Belinda. Thank you for inviting me on this evening.
No, thank you for coming on. We're going to bring Tia Kofi on in just a second because everybody's talking about her. But let's talk about you. You've been all over the news. I saw Tia then move a little move. You're going to get your medals back. I mean, we spoke about this for years. How does it feel?
No, it's fantastic. And I think that the thing is, it's took 21 years for this to happen. And for a lot of LGBTQ plus veterans, this is, why they had the medals taken off them in the first place. Mine was a civilian medal, but it was given to me in a military in a military situation, so I wasn't able to wear it. But people who served and people who've pre-2000 had them cut off them, and that is just wrong. And they'd earned those medals. They'd been to battles. They'd been in Afghanistan. They'd been to Basra. They'd been all over the place, and they'd done things, and yet, because of their sexuality, had these medals stripped off them.
But Carl, aren't you serving Queen and Country? Isn't that what you sign up for, to serve the Queen and Country?
Yeah,
therefore,
you do.
Who makes the decision on your behalf that you're not getting the medal in the first place?
It was the government. I've got it in writing, knowing that it was the government, because I don't blame the armed forces for it. It was a case of the government should have made that decision. And as I say, it took 20 years for them to apologise, and it's taken 21 years. I just hope now that this is the next step for some of those wrongs to be made right, because the gay ban, as it was known, it wrecked lives. People were kicked out. People lost their homes. They lost their families. They lost everything. I've been very lucky. I've turned things around for me. But at the same time, 24 years ago, I could have gone to military prison for 6 months. And this is only 1997. I know we've had this conversation before, but it's to remind people. And I think, remind people of what we've achieved in such a short time. But it is only a short time, and as I say, people went to prison for it. You were kicked out. I was left homeless. I lost all my friends. I just struggle,
Carl, to understand how you could, still speak so highly of the armed services, the army, the navy, and all that, when basically you gave your life to them, and that wasn't good enough, just because basically, in a nutshell, where you wanted to put your penis. Do you know what I mean? It's as simple as that, isn't it?
It's as simple as that, but who were at fault, and said the government. And as I say, I don't in writing sort of say, how sort of passionate I get about the word homosexual. I hate the word homosexual because it's written in a derogatory term against me. But it was the government that never brought that to Parliament. I wrote to Tony Blair. I've got letters from the Prime Minister's office. I've got letters from Graham Stringer's office. I've got letters from the MOD, all stating the fact that it wasn't a priority for the government at that time to even have the conversation in Parliament. So I have nothing. I've got no disrespect for the armed forces, because I think that if the government had made the decision, then the armed forces would have acted on that. So I don't blame the armed forces, and I'm still as passionate today about the Air Force, and I still have reoccurring dreams to go back in, and I still have reoccurring dreams of what. And the thing is, my life would have been completely different. So that's I've got to look at things in a different way.
So how will you get refamiliarized, for want of a better word? I think the word's repatriated with your medals. How's what happen?
So for a lot of people, because a lot of people, you've got to apply, and you have to, and the paper, and everyone's saying, why should people have to apply for the medals that they had taken off, or absolutely. the medals that they would have got if they'd have managed to stay in? And the reason for that, without going into too much detail, I don't think the MOD have still got the paperwork, and I think they need to sort of. I think it was one of the things that we're going back 21 years. We're going back at least 40, 50 years for some people. They probably never thought that they would ever be in this situation, that they were going to give back the medals. So it was probably one of them cases where people have now got to fill in the paperwork. They've got to put their service number in. They've got to put where they served and the time that they served. So I'm guessing it's going to be like an exercise for themselves for the MOD to sort of go through the paperwork to sort of see actually would they have got that? Have they got that? Would they have achieved that? Would they have got the long service? Would they have got the, so I think the main part of it is sort of making sure that people do get them who want them, because don't forget there'll be people who don't want the medals because they were treated in such a horrific time. Yeah. Being put in prison then, being put in prison for that, you'd have been treated as vermin. And that's what we've got to remember.
We will indeed. And we're going to have to wrap it up there, unfortunately, Carl. But thank you so much for coming on today. I just think it's brilliant. And that's why I wanted to get you back on the show, because I know how passionate you are about the art. Your time. Right then. We're moving on, everybody. RuPaul Drag Race. Okay, then. This is one of my absolute favourites of season 2, everybody. Season 2. Season 2 already? I cannot believe it. I don't look old enough to have watched it all. Anyway, this lady, basically the word basic was used an awful lot. Judge for yourself if you think this is at all basic.
She's camp, she's glamour, she's also a mess. I love spending money on an outfit. I'm an expensive queen, honestly. £3-4 on a dress. That's the kind of budget we're working with. I can't sew. I've never touched a sewing machine a day in my life. You know when people come on Drag Race and they're like, I don't sew, and you're like, bitch, you should have learned how to sew if you were going on Drag Race. I'm now thinking that about myself. I'm still giving you end of the pier, Blackpool. I was raised by older queens. I've literally got a 25-year-old dress. Dave Lynn gave it to Rose Garden, gave it to me. So I've got things that have been handed down from generation to generation. When people forget where they came from, they don't know where they're going.
I mean, it's fantastic. Tia Kofi. What are you drinking, tea or coffee?
For legal reasons, I cannot answer that question.
How are you? I mean, you're just doing fantastic, aren't you?
I honestly just having the best time. You'd think getting eliminated from a show... Oh, spoilers, sorry, I got eliminated. Getting eliminated from a show. You'd think that would be a bad time, but I'm just having an absolutely gorgeous time. And we match. We love a bit of purple.
It's all about Cadbury's. So, other chocolates are obviously available. Now, listen, you were on that show and a lot of your fellow queens were constantly niggling at you, calling you basic. Now, explain to me what was going through your mind as them queens were saying basic. Did you think that you were up to par? Did you think you weren't up to par? What was your emotions?
I mean, people prioritize different things, don't they? They obviously have a massive focus on fashion and aesthetics, and their makeup is gorgeous and they look pristine every time. And I was, busy writing my own Edinburgh Fringe sellout shows. I don't think that's basic personally, but here we are.
Because that's a lot what they don't see, isn't it? A lot of people see you're either this or you're that. And if you're not part of what I class as the obvious RuPaul mould, then you're kind of taken to town a little bit, aren't you? I mean, you've proved that the word basic isn't necessarily a bad thing anymore, haven't you?
Oh, yeah, that's why I put it on my merch, available from Tuck Shop. It's true though. Like, it was something that I got called, and it kind of like was said. If you think about how many times you heard people call me basic on the show, bear in mind that you're seeing like 48 hours condensed into one. So imagine how many more times I heard it. And it kind of like lost all meaning. And I was like, actually, it sounds pretty camp now. I'm fine. Basic bitch. Go for it.
Was you rubbing your hands in glee thinking, oh, I've got a catchphrase. That means instant more merchandise, more tickets sold and more wonderfulness?
No, I was like gently weeping in the corner, being like, Veronica saved me. They keep saying it. No, but it was, do you know what? It's a fun thing. And now I look back on it, I'm like, it's pretty funny, to be honest.
People were commenting on your outfits and without, being the outfits that you were wearing, were they what they were because they you didn't have the money or the funds, or was it that you didn't have the ability to create, or you didn't have a person to make the costumes for you?
It's a weird situation because obviously when you look at the US version of Drag Race, they're on season 13. So by the time they get that phone call, there have been over a decade worth of designers and people that you can contact and all of that kind of thing. And when it comes to me and the kind of drag that I do, like I feel fancy and special when I'm wearing something from Sequin Showstoppers. Like that's when I'm like, we've absolutely like reached the pinnacle of drag. Like this is high glamour. Whereas for the other contestants that they put on this season, like you've got people like Ahura who trained in fashion design, who has her own sort of aesthetic, and the fact that she does that is super impressive. So like it's, you know, if you had me and Baggerson together, I wouldn't look out of place. But it was just a different sort of different season.
I mean, the main mantra within RuPaul's Drag Race is, if you can't love yourself, how are you supposed to love somebody else? How does it make you feel when 4 of your legends are lined up there and they're basically picking at you and telling you, do this, do that? How does that make you feel?
You're in a competition, so it feels like advice that you should be making a note of. Of course, when they say, we need to see a waist and a better silhouette, and I'm like, did you not see episode 3? I can't sew. What do you want me to do with this information? I literally cannot do anything about it. So just pray and hope that the next runway is something that I want to wear. But it's difficult. But now I look back on it, I'm like, I just actually feel so much love from Graham and Michelle and like Rue herself. I kind of feel like she was almost in my corner a little bit, sort of saying like, do this and you'll get onto the next one. So I actually don't feel horrible like watching it back. I feel like quite uplifted.
Well, I mean, it's not stopped you, has it? I mean, let's just take a look at what we've got here. We've got this bit of music coming out now. I mean, it's good, isn't it?
Thank you. I had no idea that you were going to mention it, but Outside In is available.
You mean you wasn't privy to the 3 pages that I had to read out about you tonight?
No, not at all.
No. So when's the single out?
So it's out now. It came out on Friday. The music video came out today. It's so exciting. I literally can't believe that I've had the opportunity to like work with the writers Tom Aspel and Little Boots, just absolute icons. And how can anyone be having a bad time? Like this is just the most amazing opportunity and greatest platform, and now I get to like play pretend all the time, and it's great.
Well, this is it. I mean, a lot of the queens in there, they'll go and they'll disappear. We'll not hear from them again unless, you know, there's an event going on at the Ritz or something like that. You, however, you've brought our song. You've got this going on, you've got that going on. Your diary must be quite full at this present moment, even though we're still in COVID. I bet you're booked all the way for the next few years, aren't you?
Oh, I mean, it could be fuller. Please feel free, throw a booking my way. I could never complain about it. I just want to do as much as I can because it's like the luckiest thing. I don't think, you know, getting on the show, some people may feel like it's like, I deserve it, like this is my moment. And I'm just like, right place, right time. Very lucky that the casting team thought they'd like fit in with what was going on. So just that feeling of feeling so like grateful and fortunate for the opportunity is hopefully gonna motivate me to keep doing things and hopefully do good things. Lots of good things.
We really hope we see more of you. You're just one of them queens that's come that I'll be honest, that I've not heard of before. But now I guess I'm going to not hear nothing nothing ever about you because you're just going to not stop. It's going to be brilliant. So Tia Kofi, thank you very much for your time today.
No, thank you for having me. You look gorgeous, by the way.
Thank you. We'll meet at some point, I'm sure. I'll be still here in my back bedroom. It's terrible, isn't it? At least I've got a good view, though, everybody. At least I've got a good view. That was our lovely Tia Kofi. Let's go over to here for a second, shall we? Here we are, the posh camera, where I look nice, everybody. Nice subtle lighting on that camera. Just put my head back like that. All the queens today have said that I'm quite gorgeous, so I'll take that with me, everybody, as I finish off the evening with my delightful KFC. Now then, I might be walking home in the rain, or is it good weather out there today? Let's check with our Paul to see what the weather is doing. Paul, what's the weather doing today?
Good evening, Shel. Good evening, Bel, and a very warm welcome, everyone, to this week's weather forecast. And I'm Paul Rudd, and I wanted to bring you up here to show you the stunning views of Shore and Crompton. It's absolutely beautiful. Last week was very wet and very windy, but I'm hoping this week will be much brighter for you. Thursday is looking sunny and cloudy with the temperatures of 12. Friday is looking sunny and cloudy with the temperatures of 10. As we head over to the weekend right now, on Saturday it's going to be sunny and cloudy with the temperatures of 12, but come Sunday the sun will definitely have his hat on with the temperatures of 11. Yes, better days are coming, guys. Spring is in the air, and I'm not talking about a spring in my step just yet. And that's it for this week's weather. Do join me again next week. And now it's time to hand over back to this fabulous pair. It's the stunning Belinda Scandal and the sexy and sassy Michelle Eagleton for this week's episode of Your Manchester.
Oh, have you had a good show tonight, Michelle? Have you? Have you had a good show? She's had a lovely show. She is here. She's right here. She's just sat quiet and soft tonight. She's had a little day off, everybody. She's having as much time to herself as she possibly can before she has to send the kids back to work, because she got excited that the kids were going back to school, and then she realised that if they're going back to school, then she's going back to her job as well. So she's not quite excited. So we've let her have the day off, and I'm all right here, just chilling my boots out. We've got a fantastic show lined up for you next week. We're celebrating International Women's Day with the gorgeous Caroline Whitehead, and that is our show, everybody. We are literally talking to so many people on that show. It's crazy. So make sure you tune in for that. In the meantime, I know that we're almost out of it, everybody. In the next few months, we will start to feel a lift. We will start to feel perhaps a little bit happier within ourselves. But if you are at the moment feeling down, then don't. There is help, and these are the numbers to ring.
So don't suffer in silence. Call the Samaritans on 116 123. Mind on 0300 123 3393. Calm on 0800 58 58 58. Or Sane on 0300 304 7000.
Yes, indeed. Do not suffer in silence. There are people there really wanting to listen to your stories. Don't feel you're putting upon them. Just talk to them. Be there for people. Before we finish this week's show, we have, of course, been looking at the fabulous drag queens, and we are also taking this opportunity to mention the gorgeous Nana, who sadly is no longer with us, but an absolute legend up there with the pinnacle of the drag legends around the world. So, to our lovely Nana. In the meantime, everybody, thanks for watching this week's episode, and I'll see you all next week only on Your Manchester!